Just I think I read in the newspaper relative to the Lancaster situation. I'm sure they have more voting machines than we do. And they were like talking $2 to $3 million.
They said 3 to 3.5.
3.
They're not budgeting for it. They expect about $500,000 from the state.
We were.
Yeah. So in other words, why is our number so much higher than Lancaster County's?
I don't know how they estimated their number. What did we spend on the last equipment?
About $2 million.
You're just like basing it on with inflation and everything as to what we expect.
And that's one of the reasons that we're recommending not putting it into the budget, because we don't have a firm number.
We need a firm number.
And because it's such a wild variation, we don't want to put it in.
But you're doing this pie chart though, showing the number of days, fund balance, and the percentage of real estate tax collections. So I'm assuming we're using a number for that.
We're using the 6.
Do we need to put that pie chart in there, or can we just talk about negative adverse impact and keep it short?
The bonds
in the FA, from the FAC.
we talked about putting it in.
That's something here. I think we were going to go back and redevelop what we were going to put in the budget, since in the wording, and we'll probably update it with, we're going to back it up with the new projections that show 6 million, 4 million, something coming out in 2020. And we'll back up the wording, and we'll state in there that it is a big unknown at this point. We do not know how much it's going to cost. And that's kind of why we recommend not putting it in.
This would eat up 25 days of our fund balance. Is what I'm reading.
Yes, if it's 6 million.
That would impact you for paid.
Correct. Substantially. Yes, if it would have to, that's, for example, if we paid it out in 2020, we probably would be very close to 100 days of fund balance.
Without including this in the 2019 budget, what would our days at hand be? Roughly, we have an estimate of that. I saw a number somewhere, probably the general budget.
It's 31.8 million, but I don't know that we may have.
30 something.
I think so.
Okay.
So when I don't have a problem with the letter transmittal on the front of the budget, if that's what you're asking us. In other words, it's not in the budget, but we're recognizing this as an anticipated potential expense, and then maybe do like a range, like say up to $6 million or whatever. But I would keep it short and sweet. I don't know. I mean, do you need to put the pie chart in and all that stuff, or could we just make a couple sentences here? And
Yeah.
without drawing, because if you're not putting it in the budget, I don't know why. I don't think we should go out of our way necessarily to draw attention to it at this point, because we don't know what we're doing.
Well, because it is such a material issue, we have to address it in the document. And it is one of the things when we're being rated by the FOA. They know that every Pennsylvania county is going to be faced with this, so we at least need to.
All right, so you put
a paragraph.
Just something short in there. That's fine. I understand what you're saying in terms of when you get auditor review and whatever.
Yeah, they want to make sure we're being realistic with our projections and what we're going to face in the future.
You said Lancaster County is not putting in.
It's not in the budget right now. I mean, they could change their mind.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter what they do. I'm just curious.
Dolphin, they're not budgeting for it. Adams, they're probably budgeting for it, but they don't have a number. Perry County, 400,000 in last year's reserves. They're expecting over $1 million for the machines. Cumberland's planning on budgeting, they've started talking about it, yes, they have.
These counties that are using paper balances like Franklin, some of those, do we know if there's a significant financial difference between, when we look at other counties and say, well, they're using, Lancaster's using this 2 million, this is what it was, right? Do we know what their voting system is? Do we know whether it's comparable? Because it seems to me that if they're using a consolidated voting system, that alone explains some of the difference. There's just too many unknowns.
There's too many unknowns, and without having a lot of time to look into it. And the biggest unknown is we don't know what the state's gonna certify.
Right.
So they could certify equipment that's much cheaper than the previous, or much more expensive, we just don't know.
Franklin's, they're expecting 900,000 to do whatever they need to do to theirs.
So they're keeping their existing machines, they're just tuning them up.
Doing some kind of upgrade to them, to keep them, I guess, in compliance or something. If they're not going to.
Well, we may want to take a look at paper ballots too. You know, I was thinking about it, you know, because we're going to have this paper backup in the DVRs or whatever it's called, you know, anyway. So, you know, if we have to have it, I mean, I don't know. I don't think, I think there's an issue, but Bethany mentioned that you have to keep a bunch of paper, but we're going to have to keep a bunch of paper anyway.
And I think so there are different costs associated with
Yeah.
paper ballots, and employee costs go up dramatically with paper ballots. So when you
Employee
weigh
costs.
employee costs, yeah. So
So when we're talking about take paper ballots, are we talking about like what we used to have, the optical scanner?
I
Or is there some
I
other
don't
version?
know.
Yeah. All right.
it's some version of,
All right.
All I know is, you know, they load on paper and they scan it.
Which,
probably similar.
I mean, that was problematic in itself on numerous occasions.
Yeah.
In a big way, too. So I'd be very happy to go back to something that gave us that much trouble before.
Yeah, I'm just curious as to what are the pluses and minuses versus on all the new systems, you know. But I kind of, I probably didn't agree with Gary in terms of the fact that we probably don't want to go back to, we had the paper ballots here.
But I don't have enough information to,
Yeah.
I'm not the expert in elections, my own shot.
When you find that person does.
And then, are there any other questions related to the budget? This is an opportunity to ask.
So, we have, I think we have an issue relative to the downtown program, the redevelopment authority. We have a question about the Cumberland Economic Development Corporation and their proposal. Are all those proposals, all those items already in your budget?
We have an allotment for the Commissioner's Office grants in the budget. And how it's been historically handled is you make the decisions throughout the year, there's money set aside for that. So we have that money set aside. So if you make the decisions ahead of time, that's okay. And if the years that decisions were made ahead of time, we used to publish what those grants were in the budget. But we haven't done that in probably a long time because the decisions haven't been made before the budget is printed. And that's okay, the money is set aside.
Yes, that's already there. And that's where it came from this past year.
Yes,
Okay, so there's been a change in the process.
correct. Except Jim asked for the decisions to be made before.
What about the library grants?
It is contracted, so $100,000 is in based on that contract.
But they also are discretionary, you have it in the budget.
Well, there's a 3-year MOU. and
Yeah,
it
so
will be
it's
the
based
last
upon the
year.
availability of funds, that's what it says.
But the contract, I mean, they have to meet the terms of the contract.
Correct.
And that's occurring on a rolling basis essentially. So,
See, the Koenig folks are coming out, right?
Yeah,
The 31st?
I think so. That's the day.
As well, and that's the same date as Dr. With Oh, yeah, they're gonna be here the same, yeah, so we're gonna cover two issues or the same. You know, both issues will involve.
So as far as we know, their proposal still centers around specifically base preservation and workforce development.
I think so.
Okay, I haven't heard this.
Karen, did you have any information?
Not yet.
Okay, Dana, then to meet your deadline with respect to wrapping everything up, what day is that? What is your deadline? Because you have a timing issue with the printing of the budget and everything else, right?
Well, for the election machines, today would be great because that changes things throughout the budget if we have to change numbers. For farmland preservation, it would only be changing the wording in the front of the document. So by the end of next week would be our best, we would love to have it by then. The worst case scenario, that Wednesday before Thanksgiving would be our drop down no further without causing printing issues.
Because it affects the page numbers in the front versus section changes, and then she's out of the page numbers.
Oh, and that
She's
creates,
out.
she's out starting November 5th.
She's out.
So is the page numbering issue, you're saying?
Could be.
It could be if something moves, shifts a page in there.
So
But
Thursday,
wouldn't we typically use one numbering system for the narrative section and another numbering system for, we would not?
We
No,
used
it's,
to.
we used to, but it starts GFOA and they, with the PDF, they like it, if it's page number 10, you can put 10 in, they want you to go to page.
They can't make it two documents. I mean, most, if you look at a book, they're using small Roman numerals in the narrative section. And then,
We used to.
We
And
got away from that.
GFOA requires the PDF version
GFOA requires the
to the page numbers to match the PDF.
It makes it easier too for the citizens, that when you're looking in my table of contents, and it's on page 10, but I've got all these Roman numerals in the front that might be 30 pages, and then when you go to page 10, well, you're in Roman numerals to try and actually get there. It's tougher in
So, okay, I mean, the way we envisioned this was it's this budget and strategy document. The strategy essentially was one document, the budget was another, but they were co-located under a single binding.
Yes.
So you're saying that it has to, under GFOA, it has to be considered a single document now, not just, you can't just publish two documents together.
And it won't take long for us to change a page number.
It's just that she's
No,
out.
it's just-
She's just out.
Yeah,
starting
I
November
was trying to find an easy way around it, because it seems kind of crazy.
She told me not to worry, that she won't have it.
5th. She'll be able to do page
She can
numbers.
do page numbers. She said there's nothing wrong with my fingers.
That's what she told me.
so if we're okay with I'm okay with after our discussion on the election machines. And then, if I heard you correctly, next Thursday is when you were looking for, a
That would be the
decision.
optimal.
Okay, so we have a workshop session on Thursday, November 1st.
Correct.
So I would just ask my colleagues to consider some increased funding for farmland preservation between now and then, and I'll bring it up then, I guess.
So if I understood what you're saying, even though I thought we were trying to get away from the idea of grants, there essentially is a single number under the grants category, and then it's a matter of how we divide that number up among the various programs that are under there.
Correct.
Okay.
So, under Larry's tenure,
Correct.
he changed those grants, and he created the discretionary grants under the commissioner's office. And an allotment is put there, and it's a total of $250,000, I think is what it is. But technically, the commissioner's office is supposed to budget it and manage it, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, I don't know that we were entirely happy with the way that Larry came up with that anyhow, so we may want to revisit that at some point, not today, but, because that sort of defeated the purpose of somewhat revisiting the issue to begin with. So, I mean, because now what you're basically saying is, you've got this bubble of money, and then so we're essentially putting all the so-called grants categories in competition with each other for $1 million. We don't have the option of just pulling new dollars in from somewhere else without a lot of machinations.
Or we could budget more through the budgeting year, through the budget process, the budgets go out in August, and that's when the numbers are implemented.
So
The
make the
number
bubble
could
larger.
be increased.
So you just say make the bubble larger.
You could make
So,
that bubble
okay.
larger.
But you would do that as part of that process?
Yes.
Okay. Well, it's kind of like, I wondered at the wisdom of having this bubble here with a fixed amount that doesn't seem to be tied to anything. Like, you know, some kind of strategy or this is the amount available out of discretionary funding or something. All it does is creates that, what we're trying to solve is this ongoing conflict between 3 or 4 requesters for a limited number of dollars and have various not only financial ramifications but political ramifications. So because if you were seen as being for one, then you're against the other. That was very destructive approach. So
And we did pull all the other, what was in those grant buckets. We did pull those out and move them into the appropriate
departments. Okay,
Into
yeah.
departments.
I remember we had a lot of discussion about moving them into various departments so it become part of the departmental budget process
Right.
instead of putting them at loggerheads with each other.
Cat is with her black fly, was with veterans, or veterans, or Vector.
Now it's in planning.
Okay.
So things were moved out
So
of
we
there.
did do some of that. All right, this is kind of familiar. Okay, we made it.
If you want to know if we want this in the budget or not, my answer is Jim and Carrie. Let Jim.
I agree. I'll concur with the recommendation.
No. No. Yes, no.
You said Adams was the only one that you knew of that might be putting it in the budget? Did I get that correct?
Probably Adams, Lebanon are planning on budgeting.
They are.
If they didn't have a number. Franklin has the money in there to do whatever kind of update they need to do.
Oh, that's right. They were, that's
They're
right.
the paper.
Okay. All right. Got what you need?
What we need.
Thanks.
Sandy, you follow up with Keith on the ballot question, and Dana, I think at one time gave us some information, but maybe dusted off again about the possibility of funding preservation, farming preservation through
Through debt.
bonding through that. I think you came back from the time you said it, you were spending more money. But I'm not going to put words in your mouth. We can just revisit that.
The county share goes up because the state only matches it in the first year, and they do not match the interest expense.
So that's we would need to weigh that versus the idea of always having an open-ended, a specific goal with only an open-ended approach toward reaching the goal.
Right. And the other issue when we take out debt, is you have a short amount of time to spend it,
Yeah.
and with the staff that's available, they've never been able to meet
Right.
those deadlines. And at that point, they had a full-time position dedicated to the farmland, and I believe a part-time.
Well, and maybe that's outdated now. That may be, if we engage in a true planning process, that's one of the things we probably should put on the table is, are we processing these dollars fast enough? And if we go at that route, would that become a prerequisite to make it work?
Right.
So-
We would not want to issue debt until we were close to ready to spend the money.
Okay.
You have a 2-3 year
There-
window. But then remember, you're also going to lose the match on all the interest expense.
Match all the interest expense. Okay.
Yeah, the other thing I do remember is, I mean, unlike, the situation of Silver Spring Township that had, if I recall correctly, the specific authority to increase the earned income tax for farmland preservation. We don't have the same statutory authority for a referendum on farmland preservation. And I think that was answered before. And I don't know, Gary, you said Adams County did it?
For a borrow, it has to be for, as I recall,
They did
double check
something.
that, but I think
I-
it does it need to be for a borrow?
Okay, I'd be interested in hearing that again, because I didn't recall that we got anything back from our solicitor that said that we could do that even if we wanted to. So that's one of the things we need to, I mean, you can borrow funds when it's actually submitted, or when you have to put it on the ballot, I don't know. But I think it might depend on your millage rate, whether you're at the top of your millage rate. I don't know.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
There is a debt, there is a way that you can put debt on, however you said it. It's
On the
not the
ballot.
form on the ballot, it's not farmland preservation itself, it's the actual borrowing.
Yes.
So you would be saying, we're gonna enter into a $4 million borrowing in this year, I don't know if you can do multiple years, for farmland preservation, yes or no? And if they vote no,
Yeah.
you're done. If they vote yes, then you do it, but then whatever millage you set has to go to that borrow.
Mhm.
Right.
And then once the borrowing is over, you have to delete that.
Well, we did it without a referendum, when was it back when they had that Gordon Greener too, right?
You can do, you can always.
I mean, there
borrow
was,
without a
yeah, I mean,
referendum.
there was a reason back then where it made sense, I guess, because there was all this additional funding that was being made available by the state. That's not the case anymore.
Yeah, I think that 1 year, there was 20-some farms doing the program in 1 year. I think that was
There was quite a substantial.
I think, I don't know, what year.
Well,
I was guessing.
The state offered that program where we got a substantial amount.
It was like $6 million or something.
Everything's just rumbling about another one.
A lot of
That's,
money.
they were, even just last year, I think, very early this year, they're talking about it growing to be 3. But who knows what money's coming through at this point, so. So now in terms of,
And that bondage is almost paid off or has been paid off, right?
2021, 2022, I think it will be paid
Yeah, I'll have to look it up. It's soon.
Yeah.
It's not paid off yet.
off. No,
It's
but they're
soon.
close.
And that's how much a year? Do you
I don't
remember?
remember off the top of
All
my
right.
I
head.
just saw that number.
Is that like 300 or
I was
300,000?
like 400 something a year.
I'll have to look it up. I haven't looked at it in a few years.
Okay, any other business we need to discuss? Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
so
We're adjourned. Thank you.